Hey, what's up, everybody? One coach opinion. Remember, it's just my opinion. It's not a fact. This one might. Well, it's not. Okay, let me say this. This one might touch a few feelings. It shouldn't, but it might touch a few feelings. I'm gonna name drop a little bit, but I'm gonna do that for a reason. And you'll see. Just watch to the end. It's not really going to anybody, but it's just a proof point. So. If anybody knows, like, say, Sijara Eubanks, currently in the UFC, currently at the top elite level of fighting. When you get to the UFC, now let me explain this. The UFC is like the considered right now, and no disrespect to Bellator or anything like that, but UFC is considered right now one of the highest levels of MMA fighting. So, you know, a lot of guys want to get to the UFC. It's kind of like a lot of guys want to get to Major League Baseball, whatever. The UFC would be like, for them, that's the plateau, or where they kind of want to be at when it comes to MMA fighting. It's not the form of fighting. So people say, oh yeah, they do their UFC stuff. It's not a form. That's MMA. That's mixed martial arts. That's the form of fighting. UFC is just where they want to be. So I say this to say, like, Sijara Eubanks. Now, I remember when Sijara could not throw like one single punch correctly. She didn't know what she was doing. She used to get frustrated at just punching, just learning combinations, just like a day one 8-year-old that might come into the gym. That's when I worked with her. You got Sadiq Yusuf. You can see videos of me working with him before he got to UFC, and you know, I'm just saying that because he's pretty talented and he made it to compete at the highest level of the sport. Let's go with, I had a kid named Zimmy. A lot of people around here remember this kid. It's probably a lot of people. I remember, you know, he had fought like Sebastian Fundora, stuff like that when he was a kid, and you know, he was pretty much 3-time national silver glove. He was winning a lot of stuff. He was very talented. I remember teaching this kid how to throw his first punch. Didn't know anything about boxing whatsoever. My two sons, Mike and Alontes, both are fighting at championship level boxing, the highest level of boxing. You know, okay, we still have stuff to work on, but they're at the highest level of this sport. That's where they're competing at, and I pretty much had a lot to do with them from the beginning. Let's see, Sweet Tay, he's around here. I mean, I remember I started him off boxing, put a foundation in him. I'm not gonna take credit for anything he's done. I mean, whatever he's accomplished in his career. I'm just saying, if you know his name, I remember when he couldn't throw a punch. I was there from the beginning. I got to work with Tony Thompson, a vet. I had nothing to do with him throwing his first punch, but I bring his name up because he was in the gym when my sons entered boxing. I remember Tony saying, I hated you. I used to want to punch you in your face. You know what you was doing. You know what I'm saying? You used to yell at your kids all the time. I used to want to whoop your ass every day. And that's what we talked about on our last thing. So I say that to say I've been on both sides. I've been a parent, I've been a father through this. I've been on the coaching side. I've seen it all. So, I mean, not all. It's probably more for me to see, but I you know, I got a pretty much a lot of experience in this fight game. But this is where I'm going with that. Tony remembers me not knowing shit, yelling at my kids. I remember some old videos. I don't even like looking at them. I sound like a complete jerk yelling. When you really didn't have to yell, you could gave just regular instructions. You know what I'm saying? You learn a lot, blah, 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 but you also learn to recognize it a lot. Now, here's where I'm going with this, and this is probably all boxing coaches know what we go through. Stop waiting until you see somebody good to start talking about your coaching skills. I mean, some of these kids I'm getting cannot throw any punches whatsoever. Don't know anything about boxing, don't know nothing about standing, don't know about throwing, don't know anything about boxing whatsoever when I'm getting them, starting them off. But once they get good, everybody and their uncle should have trained them. Everybody has an opinion of what this kid should be doing. Now that I've got him to a point that he looks like a boxer. Have it from the jump. Bring your kid to me, or let his uncle come in when he couldn't throw a punch. Stop letting people that didn't pay any attention to your child when your child was walking around or sitting on the couch and you was like, he needed to do something, he needed to do something. And now that he's boxing and he's looking good and he's winning fights, they have all the time in the world to be their coach without having any time at all to be their coach. And I say that because coaching starts with commitment. It means anybody that knows me pretty much knows where I'm gonna be from 6 to 8 in the evening, or maybe 6 to 10 in the evening, depending on it, Monday through Thursday. You know what I'm saying? They know where I'm gonna be 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. I'm gonna be in that gym. 98% of the time, I'm gonna be in the gym, dedicating myself to training fighters that people want to come along with and put all types of opinions on how this person should be fighting. Now, I don't feel there's anything wrong with a guy that might switch coaches or go somewhere else if he's not feeling comfortable where he's at. I mean, I got a stack of applications, and I don't know too many guys that left me and went other places and just like flourished, but there might be some, you know what I'm saying? There might be some out there I just don't know about, but a lot of them just, quit. It just ain't for them. But the ones that stick around, those are the ones with the uncles and the brothers and the dads that are tampering with what these coaches work with every day to try to perfect. Styles make fights. Every kid is different. Every boxer is different. So sometimes when a boxer comes to you, or a kid comes to you, and you're not starting from scratch, you might just have to say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You might have to recognize that. Some people can't even recognize that. What they do is tear everything that this kid has worked on and built and try to rebuild them. And maybe that works. Who knows? But if you don't have the time to train somebody, then just mind your business. Because really, you're probably hurting more of the boxing coach-boxer relationship than helping. Or your coach should have you doing that. Your coach should have you doing that. Ask them to come to your spawn session. If they want to train you, next time they want to talk, just ask them, okay, well, you know what? What days can you dedicate to making me better? Well, I work 3 jobs. That's what you're gonna get. I was at a fight one time. My kid was fighting. My kid had about 6 fights. He's looking good. And as my kid was fighting, there was a guy out there narrating. You're not coaching my kid. You're talking about what he's doing after he's doing it and trying to sound like you understand and know the sport of boxing. And you're doing it out loud. I wanted so much to say, Slim, excuse my language, shut the fuck up, man. He's like this. Okay, yeah, that's it. That double jab. Yeah, put that. Okay, you might want to try that again sometime. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna move. There it is. There you got the movement going. You got the move. He's doing all of this, right? Next to a lady who probably is saying, Harold really knows what he's talking about because this kid, it looks good and he's listening to. No, Harold has you fooled. He's just sitting there narrating what my kid is doing. I'm in the corner. My kid is already doing this stuff. We don't even know this guy whatsoever. but yet he's out there shouting, yeah, okay, that was the left hand I've been talking about. Man, what? And I know everybody has gone through it. Everybody has gone through it. And we know when somebody is tampering with what we've been working on. I know if your kid is 8 or 9 years old and they're coming to the gym and I'm starting to see them doing the Mayweather shoulder roll or doing certain things that they wouldn't be doing, then I know somebody's tampering with them. You know what I'm saying? And these relationships, like I said, I had a kid, was winning everything. When he got to a certain age, he quit. Later on in life, I found out that there was a lot of things going on at home that I didn't know were going on at home. And he was going through a lot of pain and pressure that this sport was putting on because of, you know, parental involvement. Stuff that they're doing that really didn't have to be done for a kid to be successful. You're just in the way. You're just making it hard for him because now they don't know what to do. And it's not just, it's guys out here that, now, if a kid came to your recreation center and you held it through a few pads for him, and later on in life, you saw this kid working and you say, yeah, I started him off, you know what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. That's not even really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you know, somebody who starts a kid off, trains a kid, has been working from day one, taught him how to do maybe his first jumping jack, taught him how to throw his first jab, taught him everything, and he gets around his family and there's always somebody in his family that maybe used to box, maybe used to do this, and they're telling them that this is what he should be doing. First of all, a lot of y'all need to get the internet. There's a thing called BoxRec. So from now on, people can't fool you with what they did in the sport of boxing before they start causing turmoil in the relationship between a coach and your child. Because it happens all the time. Oh yeah, I used to box. See exactly what, but let me tell you something about boxing. Anybody can box. At any level, you can walk to any gym at any age at 18, 19 years old with no experience whatsoever. And in 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, you could become a pro. As long as you can hold your head. Boxing is a proof is in the pudding sport. You coaching football and nobody would let you be the head coach and you mad and blah, blah, blah. I want to be the offensive coach. I've been coaching there for you. Go to boxing, start your own gym. You can do it out of your garage. And as long as your fighters can fight, people will respect your coaching. You don't have to, you have to take the safe sport. You have to go through that just to make sure you're safe to be around kids. But nobody is called unattached. You can do what you want. I have fathers, I tell them all the time, if you really want to coach them, I will help you coach your own son. You want to come to my gym and you want to coach your son, that's fine. If you want to be a part of this sometimes, if you want to be a part of this. Now, if you're in there and you're disruptive, then I can say, you know what? You might want to take your son, y'all can go to the basement. You can do all this, but I offer to help you. I'm not going to help you abuse a child because you don't know what you're doing. Now, a lot of guys won't take it. Why? Because they know it requires responsibility. It requires them to be there. It's really easy to drop your son off days and come back and pick him up. Sometimes it's hard for parents to even do that. Where you been at? Oh yeah, well, we had this, we had that, blah, blah, blah. And that makes it hard. And that's like parental involvement. But I'm just talking about majority of times, people messing up a kid. Let me say this. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm not coaching them. Anything you sit around and watch a fighter do and you don't correct, it's called coaching. If you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, that was good, blah, 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 and the whole time a kid has his hand down, you're coaching him because you're telling him everything he is doing is good, he's on point, he's doing this wrong, but you really don't recognize the mistakes he's making because you're too alluded on how he's hitting the bag. You can go to anybody's gym today and it could be 30 guys in there hitting bags, and you could, if you pull the coach aside, so let me ask you something, coach. How many of these kids gonna go somewhere? If this guy says all 30, everybody I got, you can just walk out because he's lying. And any of us know that you go into a gym with 30 people, it might be 4 that will get to the highest level. It might be 15 that might stick around for a long time. Majority of times, most of those people gonna fade out, they're gonna quit, they're gonna get tired of coming every day. Sometimes it just ain't for them. They might make an excuse, but it might be the coach, it might not be the coach. 90% of the time, it's the person. They really don't have the time to put in what it takes to teach this or to do this. If you see a guy and he's successful, if you see, let me say, if you see a tank, you got to know exactly what he went through to get to where he is today. His life, his commitment to the gym, the tournaments that kid went to, the losses that kid took, the wins that kid had. You'd have to know exactly what he'd been through to see where he is today. And he's still under that lower percentage that was in the right place, right time, had the right people behind him to move him to where he is to the point now. It was not a self journey, I'll tell you that. But Calvin Ford put a lot of work into this kid before he got to where he gotten to, and then there's a lot of people that out here, there's no fighter out here that really you couldn't critique. Any good qualified coach couldn't say he did this. It might be a bad habit he has that he's turned into a masterful usage of this bad habit that he's learned to master and sucker people in with it. That could happen too. But somebody worked with him and taught him that. Or he brought to somebody's attention and they worked on that. All I'm saying is, stop waiting until you see a kid that's already boxing, already has a coach, is already doing good in a sport and has a foundation, and then you want to jump on and add your 2 cents. Because there's plenty of kids out there that might could use your 2 cents if it's worth 2 cents, that need help and need a guy like you that can coach them when they don't know nothing. Then we'll see where your coaching skills are. Coach a person that doesn't know nothing and show us that you can make him know something and he could be a credible fighter. Then people will respect your coaching. Stop jumping on everybody else's, or just being on the sideline, or just coming over, and when you come over, oh yeah, I saw your last fight. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me tell you what you need to be working on, because back in the day, man, when I was over so-and-so, and you got to hear all this stuff, just let them have a regular Thanksgiving dinner. Now you come around and you want to tell them everything they need to be doing and coach, but you don't realize maybe their coach is telling them the same exact thing you're telling them, but they just don't listen. And he's found ways to make the best of a situation until maybe they listen, or maybe they find out, I should have corrected that mistake a long time ago. But guess what? You're 1 day a week, 1 day a month, a phone call every now and then, I saw your last fight coaching, is not really helping kids at all. 90-some% of the time. Now, there might be a time where a guy can't call, said, nephew, let me tell you something. And normally it's some basic stuff that his coach has been telling him, and he And he just don't want to say, yeah, coach tells me that. Man, I'm just hard-headed. Man, you need to keep your hand up sometimes. Oh, yeah. That's what I need to do. Keep my hand up. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. You know what I'm saying? Man, you know, how many times will you jump rope? You know what I'm saying? Don't just jump on something, man. Have something that's worth some value that you can add to that game. And first of all, have some type of commitment that you can add to that game. Stop tampering with everybody's work, because that same little goofy kid was walking around before he joined boxing doing nothing, and you paid him no attention. Hey, what's up, little Dirk? On them video games, yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. And somebody starts teaching them something, and you got every coach in the world. And you know what? This isn't just for boxing. This is pretty much for any sport whatsoever. It's football coaches out here. It's bad that a coach has a whole offense in mind, and there's an uncle out there that has a whole nother game plan for his nephew when it comes to football. And you really just don't know how powerful your ear is. Only thing you might do is get your kid on that bench and you yelling, man, put him in the game. Blah. No, why he's not in the game? Because he doesn't listen to the coach, because he's been listening to you. And you don't coach nothing. You're on the bleachers. You're a bleacher coach that has really got a kid messed up because you done gave him advice that doesn't work with the coach's system. It might not be bad advice, but it doesn't go with the coach's system. And if it doesn't go with the coach's system, it's going to mess him up. I don't care how good the advice is or bad it is. If they've created a system and this kid is winning now, if the kid's losing, he loses all his fights, and you got a kid and he say, yeah, I'm 1-19, then maybe he does need another coach. And maybe you can step up and coach him. And then again, it still might not be you. Because why? Because he's losing, and a lot of people don't want to jump on a losing because it's too much work. It shows just how good you are as a coach when you got to jump on a losing fight. So all I'm saying is respect some. Go to some of these gyms and see how many days a week does a guy like Lamont Roach put into the gym. How many days a week did Boogaloo put into the gym? How many days a week does the Barry Hunters, the Boogies put into, how many days a week do they show up at the gym? Just go by every day, and I guarantee you'll say, what's up, Bug? What's up, Bug? What's up, Barry? They're in there every day. The Bucks, any coach that's out here, the Herbs, the Big Gary, rest in peace. These guys, they were in the gym every day. And guess what? 1,000 guys probably are in the ears of their fighters telling them what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. But none of these guys are willing to sit there and come coach every day. Now, just because you sit in the gym every day don't mean you're the best coach in the world. But you got a good start, because guess what? You're showing dedication. And when a kid sees you there every day, he might want to be there every day. But if a kid's like, hey, where Coach Tom ain't coming today, and he wasn't here Monday neither. If you getting that, I mean, somewhere down the line, it ain't gonna work. Ain't too many fighters out here say, yeah, I had a good coach, man, when he was there. I had a good coach when he wasn't drinking. Or I had a good coach, man, you know, when he didn't come to the gym high. Or I had a good coach when he just showed up. There's so many guys like this out there that are looking for good coaches, and they don't know. But respect some of these guys that are going into these gyms. John White, I can't sit here and name all the coaches, but I can tell you how much work they put into these kids, to these pros and everything that you're not really willing to put into. Because if you really have boxing knowledge and you really have the time to dedicate to the sport, you'll make a good coach. And you can, but you still won't be able to coach everybody. But those are the start of being a good coach. Consistency, time, and availability to work with your fighters. Not just, I seen you fight the other day. Let me tell you what you did wrong. Let me tell you what you could have did right. You might know exactly what you're talking about, but guess what? Coaching is reiterating things and making habits. Habits ain't always bad. The word habit isn't always negative. Habits. Habits are the best thing you can have in boxing. They're things you do without even knowing you're doing them because it's become a habit. You got your bad habits, your good habits. If you're a successful fighter and you're winning, you probably have more good habits than bad habits. But it doesn't mean you don't have bad habits. So it's easy to just look at a bad habit and say, oh yeah, man, oh yeah, that's what he do. He let you do this, man. I wouldn't have done, man, back in the day when we did. It's easy to look at that. But look, who you think put all those good habits into that kid? So I know I went on. I'm probably going to have to split this one in half just to show it. But I know every coach out here feels what I'm feeling. And there might be some parents out there that, man, he don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, okay. But I guarantee you I do know what I'm talking about. It can confuse people a lot. So, one coach's opinion. Tell me what you think. I'm out.